Greetings to all and sundry. Chancellor North Wales here. It's been just over a month since my last update, and modding progress has been slower than average, much slower than average, but still, working on something. So I think what we'll do today is have a bit of chat about the modelling and the other stuff that's been going on, a little bit about chat about some stuff I've been seeing on the YouTube community as well, and what I've been watching, and stuff I've really taken note of. So we'll begin with the watching, with the building, and Radzi and myself's flying boat group build. Here is progress on the Shinwa PS3, the post-war Japanese flying boat. Quite a big bird, even for 1/72nd. It is an old Hasegawa kit, and to be quite honest with you, it's showing its age. Fit has proven, for me at any rate, to be a bit of a sod, and it's taken and is still taking repeated cycles of filling and sanding. In particular, I've focused on using Mr. Surfacer, this stuff, Mr. Surfacer 500. Now I should explain, I tend to like to extend the lives of things like this. So when you end up with some goopy sediment at the bottom, I tend to top it up with a bit of alcohol, give it a stir, and you extend the life of it. And I think this jar has had about 3 life extensions like that, or possibly even 4. So I've got quite a lot of use out of this stuff. What it does mean though is it does tend to thin back quite a bit. However, I still find it is an excellent filling solution. It does take a few coats and you need to give it a reasonable bit of drying time, but what's nice about it is if you get it somewhere wrong, you can clean it off with alcohol. So the seams have been along here, so all along this joint, along the wing roots, around the nose, and I should explain, to get it to sit right, that is full of lead shot. So if I put my finger at the wheel bait, you'll see she sits comfortably nose heavy, which means she should sit very nicely on her beaching wheels. The other area for seam has been here along the side, running forward. Now that on both sides, because this lower section of the hull is a separate part, has been an absolute sod to deal with, and because all the panel line is raised detail, when you sand it back you are wiping that out as well. So it's all raised rivets, which in all fairness I don't, given the type of aircraft, I don't think raised rivets are that inappropriate. It's not a high-speed aircraft. It's basically, you could get away with a rougher finish over other aircraft, including modern jets. This is about, chugging along at a couple of 100 knots, observing what's going on in the water. You don't want airliner-like performance out of something like this. So raised rivets wouldn't be that inappropriate. Problem is, you can forget about you can't replace them. So what I'm going to have to do is, once I'm happy with the sanding, is I'm going to scribe in some lines, so it's not, at least not to have like bare patches on that thing. So it may go from line of rivet to scribe line. Okay, if that's what it is, that's what it is. I'm not going to re-scribe the whole flipping thing, but I want to at least be able to show some detail. So I'm going to have a bit of fun with the rescribing on this once all the sanding is done. So she is coming along, and I say it is probably also my largest build to date. It needed an awful lot of alignment tabs to be put in as well, and fits on areas like this, which is there's a separate cutout here, was pretty atrocious. And I'm not saying this is anything inherently bad with the kit. I think back when I was a kid and seeing this thing in the Tamiya catalogue, she probably went together far better when the moulds were better. But the moulds are showing their age, and the kit is suffering from that as well. Despite that, I think it still builds up into a pretty nice model, and it's certainly an elegant aircraft, nonetheless, for a flying boat. So we are getting there slowly. I've built some other sub-assemblies, but it's just been literally layer after layer, then sanding back with sanding sticks, with sanding sponges, and with wet and dry paper, so I can deal with the seams. And there's even a bit of, if you look on the underside here, a bit of good old squadron putty as well. So overall, she is coming along, but she's requiring a fair bit of work, though I do rather like the lines of this aircraft. Airbrushing with large white surfaces should be entertaining as well. Okay, so that's been the flying boat progress. It's been lovely seeing some work out there. I think the one that I hold in the greatest affection is Frankie Day's Martin Mariner, which is a flying boat I particularly adore, and I think he's making a lovely job of it with a new minicraft kit, as an old modelling hand like himself would do, and somebody with his depth of knowledge on the subject. So Frankie, beautiful build there, and I'm thoroughly enjoying following that one. And I'm also saying to you other guys, building your Rados and the others aircraft like old Git, it's been lovely to see your work, guys, and how the projects have been going. So thoroughly enjoyed following those as well. Still haven't gone over to, I'm still on Windows XP. Sometimes responding to vids is proving rather entertaining. I must extract a digit and get on with going over to good old Linux. I keep on saying to myself, this week I'll do it, and instead I keep plugging away, still keeping Windows XP there. But I really don't want to go over to Windows 7. I want to be able to quietly stick two fingers up at Microsoft at some stage. So here we are, looking nice, looking like a proper aircraft. Still a fair way to go. Sanding and rescribing. Then not too much masking, in all fairness, though the canopy lines, and this is what is slightly going to bug me. I don't mind the canopy join, but the lines on this canopy are faint. So applying the tape, linishing it down with a toothpick, it's still going to be difficult to see the canopy joins or the frame lines, especially on the side frames. So that's certainly going to be entertaining on that front. The other masking is not going to be too bad. There's not that many windows on this aircraft, and they'll mask off pretty easily. So at least that side's not going to be too tricky. Painting is going to take a little while. My airbrushes can be pretty temperamental. I'll be aiming it to paint it entirely with Tamiya paints, the whites and the greys, and just build it up like that. And I think they'll work the best, certainly on something with that sort of surface area. Give it a good clean up with good wipe down with a kitchen towel with surgical spirit on it, just to get anything up off the surface, and then a coat of a slightly darker shade of grey, then some pre-shading, and then the white followed by the grey, and that's the ski process I'll use for that. So she's certainly starting to look like a flying boat. It's just I had a couple of weeks where progress was slow, to say the least, and it's literally been fill and sand, fill and sand, fill and sand, just continuous cycles, and leaving the filler to dry for a fair bit. I probably could work 2 projects at the same time, but I tend to still be a 1 project at a time person. That's not to say how things have been going on. I was thinking whether I should do 2 vids, one for Dystopian and one for this, but the general, because I haven't done an update and I haven't done a modelling vid, so this is really about some of the other activities that have been going on. As many of you will know, that if it's not building model aircraft, I play a lot of Dystopian Wars and paint a lot of Dystopian Wars models, Victorian science fiction, air, sea and land warfare. So with the 2.0 rules out, I now have the rulebook. Now, before I start on this, I'm going to give a name to 2 channels, actually. Chap Peter Fontombasso, who does his excellent Element 270 podcasts, and now some of those podcasts have been put on his channel as well. A guy well worth looking up, and one of my favourite channels just for chatting about gaming, Poolshed Games, and the Merc is also launching a series discussing 2.0. If you guys have any interest in wargaming, dystopian wars in general, subscribe to those guys. It's just a channel whose manner, whose style I've always liked and always thoroughly enjoyed listening to. So here's the new rulebook. That's the Commodore edition. A nice thick tome, of which the centre area up to here covers the rules, and the rest being the fluff and some ship stats and vehicle stats for the battle groups they're releasing. Not all of them. I would say, if you guys want to dig into this rulebook and hear people's comments on it, follow Poolshed Games. I'm thinking of doing a video as well, but I don't want to usurp other people's work at present. So my thoughts about this. I was on the beta test committee. I like this. I've been playing an awful lot of games, as many as I can. Last weekend I was at UK Games Expo near the NEC, and supporting a tournament there and running an awful lot of introduction games for people of it. And also last week I played a game on an intro game at the Wargame store in Brimstage on the Wednesday evening, and another game on Thursday evening at my own club, D-Side Defenders. So really I've been trying to play 2.0s until I've been wearing the spots off my dice, basically. And do I like how it plays? The answer is yes, a great deal. It plays faster, it plays smoother. It's more brutal, certainly. You're rolling larger handfuls of dice. Critical effects aren't so extreme, I think would be one way to say, but they are easier to come by. So a lot more with the critical effect markers. That's basic summary on it. The core game mechanics, they smoothed out very nicely, in my opinion. Some people have commented that the format of this book, using bold text all over the place, is maybe there's something they've done to excess. For me, I still find this to be quite readable, quite followable. And if you just take a step-by-step approach to the games, if you're new to DW, just focus on the core rules and then expand and build upon that, and this will be manageable. Within, I also will say, also bought the Shadowhunter 2-player starter box set. Now, I already have an FSA fleet, so the FSA element of this is very much appreciated, and there's no harm in having some Japanese as well. I like the package. Peter Fontombasso has done a very good unboxing of this, going through and discussing the content, and Poolshed Games will be doing the same as well. And I think I have to do so. I'll have to set up my phone in a different position, and otherwise I'll just be holding up one thing after another in front of myself, which won't particularly work, so it needs a proper unboxing. But a basic way to describe this, that is a box stuffed full of resin models, rules, dice, and other booklets and material. So for the price, I think that's an excellent set. If you're looking to branch into the game, do so. That was the little dystopian chat. Going on to other things that have stood out for me. Red Dragon and his work on the Starship Yamamoto and the other starships he's been working on. That's been quite lovely to follow. I enjoy seeing those as an alternative subjects. So Gilbert, I have enjoyed your vids. Also enjoyed your discussion following your visit with Waterloo coming to visit you. That was seriously fun to listen to. Also, Bad Grendel's, John, your work on the big old Xylon fighter, and your comments about the wing fit. That's another build certainly worthy of note. And just, you know, Atomic Dog following your Toss the Bones and other guys' updates. Still having trouble listening to some people's channels. The sound just doesn't seem to work on a number of people. Namely, and unfortunately, Charlie being one of them. And a couple of others that I do get a bit frustrated trying to follow, because I then have to use a different media platform to listen to them. And since this facility underwent some changes on our IT, basically new server from TalkTalk, my broadband service, while in the rest of the house is brilliant, has now taken a my wireless network service in the rest of the house, while now absolutely brilliant, has taken an absolute hit in the man cave. So I actually have to sometimes leave this room in order to watch videos on the phone that I'm recording it. As it is, I'm going to have to take this phone out of the man cave in order to upload from it. Yes, all well and good, but so that's just a quick update. I am trying to follow things as best I can, guys, and upping the listening a bit. Now that 2.0 is up, I'll spend less time on the Spartan Games site now, and I'm spending more time back on YouTube, catching up, following builds, following people, and making comments. Also, it's been good fun still listening, following the more documentaries. I am, I suppose, just contemplating things, and this came out now with the 70th anniversary of D-Day and the age of those veterans, that the time is swiftly approaching, with many of those people being in their 90s, late 80s, that they soon won't be with us, guys. And I think another 20 years, the last 15 years, the last of our World War II veterans will have moved on to join their comrades who went before them. And I think for that we become beholden to keep the memories alive. I got decidedly worried with the results of the European elections and the rise of the right, and I'm sometimes thinking people do have rather short memories. I would urge you, all of you out there, not to forget the history that many of us modelers build upon, which we do so at our peril. And I think history, the interest in history that modelling often engenders, means that I would hope most of us are more aware than many other people. And I think in the generations to come, it's going to be the modelers and the wargamers out there who dig into the history that drives their hobby. May often have to be a voice saying, guys, remember what did happen, remember the price that was paid, and in the coming years that the comforts of our freedoms, or in the coming generations or decades, that the freedoms we enjoy, the freedoms to make videos like this, the freedoms to be able to chat freely, were bought at a very high price. So please guys, I will urge you all to watch the history vids. You will often discover something new. Some of them, I won't deny, the production values using stock footage seem to be just a bit trite at times, but there's an awful lot of good stuff out there. I've recently been watching Clash of Wings, which might not be saying anything I haven't heard before, but there's always snippets, little things that are worth noting. Doesn't possibly go into the depth I like, but nonetheless still well worth watching. So I just say to all of you guys out there, if you are building something, and if you're involved with a seaplane group build, take some time to dig up videos about short Sunderlands, about the German flying boats. Again, Clash of Wings does include a very good section on that, or good video about the German flying boats, to bring home the memory of those who you're honouring with your projects. Likewise, the armour modelers. There's an awful lot of stuff out there, guys. Don't miss up the opportunity, and to broaden the mind. And I think if future generations of modelers, those lads who are following on behind us, Aaron Newland's lads, Chris from Chris and Alex Modelling, and all our youngsters out there, guys, you're the next ones who are going to be carrying this on, who are going to be helping keep memories alive through the projects you build. I know it's a bit of a warble, but I think it's one of the reasons, one of the drivers for the modelling hobby, and I think where now it's going to become even more important. Many of the older gamers would have been servicemen, or older modelers would have been servicemen themselves, and I've been in model shows, listening to guys talking about working. Oh, I worked on the Beaufighter. Oh, I remember servicing a Mossy, or the Sunderland was a pig to work on for certain things like that. We're going to stop hearing those voices soon. Let's keep our memories alive, guys. And I'm not going to suggest any more group builds, but with the start of the First World War, I really don't want to suggest a group build here. But what I would suggest, guys, is at some stage this year, a thought toward the First World War might be nice. I say I haven't got anything for it personally yet, but I do find myself tempted. I really appreciate what I've seen with the D-Day group builds, and I think that honouring the 70th has been excellent. So that was my bit of waffling and rambling. Next vid I will try to include more in-depth reviews about the new modelers, and it's been great to see the people who have been joining the community, and my list of them stuck up here seems to be growing. More people that I'm spotting, and that I need to revisit their channels and have a separate re-review of the channel so I can make some intelligent comments about them, and also set things up. I get more of the channels posted to myself as well. So guys, I would say to you all out there, take care, God bless, happy modelling, and let's keep the memories alive, guys.